The current state of Kenyan leadership presents a troubling picture of corruption and abuse of power. Kenyan leaders openly steal public funds, an act that deprives the nation of crucial resources needed for development. This blatant misappropriation of money, intended for public welfare, cripples essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. The resultant effect is a cycle of poverty and underdevelopment that disproportionately affects the vulnerable populations, particularly the youth and the poor. Moreover, these leaders demonstrate an alarming disregard for the rule of law. They use sirens and convoys to force their way through public roads, disrupting the daily lives of ordinary citizens and showcasing their sense of entitlement and immunity. This abuse of power is not just a minor inconvenience. It symbolizes a deeper issue of a leadership that is disconnected from the populace and feels above the law. Criminal activities among these leaders often go unpunished, further eroding public trust in the justice system. High-profile corruption cases and other criminal activities involving political leaders are either ignored or swiftly swept under the rug. This creates a culture of impunity where leaders feel emboldened to continue their malpractices without fear of repercussions. It sends a dangerous message that corruption and criminality are acceptable as long as one holds a position of power. In the legislative arena, the situation is equally dire. Laws are frequently passed in Parliament that favor these leaders and their political parties, rather than the citizens they are supposed to represent. These self-serving laws often consolidate power, stifle opposition, and limit democratic freedoms. The legislative process, instead of being a tool for justice and societal progress, becomes a mechanism for entrenching the interests of a select few. This state of affairs must not be allowed to continue. The youth, who are the future of the nation, have a critical role to play in effecting change. They must act right by exposing these corrupt practices and strongly criticizing them. The power of social media and digital platforms can be harnessed to shine a light on these issues, mobilize public opinion, and demand accountability. Grassroots movements and peaceful protests can also be effective in pushing for reforms. Furthermore, the youth should engage actively in the political process, not just as voters, but as candidates and leaders. They must advocate for transparency, integrity, and accountability in governance. By doing so, they can help build a political culture that truly serves the interests of all Kenyans, rather than a privileged few. The time for change is now. Kenyan youth must rise to the occasion, hold their leaders accountable, and work towards a more just and equitable society. Through vigilance, activism, and participation, they can dismantle the entrenched systems of corruption and build a brighter future for Kenya.